see it's already filling up. Thank y'all so much for making us a part of your evening here. Let's jump into the injury report here real quick. And Rob Domofsky had some quotes here from Matt LaFleur, who was at the podium earlier. I think some of the assistants are still at the podium. It looked like at least the videos are still rolling out. But nonetheless, Rob Domofsky, Matt LaFleur on running back Josh Jacobs, quote, "Everything was walked through today, so we'll see how he feels going on game day." All right. So obviously Josh Jacobs is going to be one of those game time decisions. No big surprise there. There's no reason for him to practice all week. Just see if he can rest it up enough to go maybe a little limited fashion at some point in the week to just kind of test it out, but definitely going to be a game time decision. I mean, I got to be real. I want Josh Jacobs out there, but at the same time, I feel like Emmanuel Wilson can do the job. And not that he's at Josh Jacobs' level by no stretch of the imagination. I think that it comes down to more, though, the more value that I see in having both those guys is exactly what it sounds like, Tim, is having both those guys available. If one gets dinged up, now you're not just limited to Chris Brooks and whoever else is on the roster, as opposed to having that nice little 1-2 punch. So hope Jacobs is ready, but have all the faith in the world in Emmanuel Wilson. However, I wonder if he's a little banged up, man. He carried the load, had a lot of carries there on Sunday as well.
That's so true, but he's a young emerging talent, right? We trust Emmanuel Wilson, I think, and maybe the 1-2 punch becomes the 2-1 punch, and maybe you work Josh back into the fold, and maybe he's active and he's on a snap count. Emmanuel Wilson's your running back one for the evening, and you just proceed that way. But time will tell. I mean, I love the way that Matt's playing chess, not checkers right here, right? Everything was just walked through. We'll see how he's going. It's still day to day. Like, we're not going to tip our hand to the Detroit Lions before Turkey Day. I don't think it's going to happen.
Right. And he kind of holding everything close to the vest, obviously. He also mentioned, as Rob Domofsky put in a tweet, as for LVN playing only 6 snaps in his return on Sunday, quote, "I wouldn't say it's a setback. I'd say it's where he's at. He tried to go and wasn't feeling it." Now, again, he came back in the fourth quarter for what I seen was one play. It may have been multiple plays, but nonetheless, I like what Matt said there, but what it tells me is he's still not 100%, or at least he wasn't on Sunday. So I'm expecting another limited snap count for LVN, and you know what? That's okay with me. You probably want to key in on the run a little bit more in this game against the Lions, I would imagine, seeing how they just went off on the Giants, albeit the Giants, one of the worst defense, actually is the worst run defense in terms of yards per carry allowed in the entire National Football League. So LVN here, I don't think he's quite ready yet. We'll probably see him. I think there's a good chance we see him, Tim, but definitely in a limited fashion, man.
Yeah, it was good that we saw him on Sunday limited. At least he's, active and, getting some reps, and hopefully those increase over the next few weeks, because one of the things we talked about often is LVN in the run fits. And this has, been a season for him before the injury with the foot. He's looked really good in the run game. And that's not something that I think any of us were super expecting going into this year. We thought he was just strictly an edge guy. But LVN was looking really good in the run fits prior to the foot injury. So hopefully he'll be back to getting, 25, 35 plus snaps a game. We'll see what happens.
Another mention here from Rob Domofsky. LaFleur said cornerback Keyshawn Nixon with the neck injury. Obviously, he had the stinger. Will be a game day decision. He went from DNP yesterday to limited today, albeit a walkthrough. So it seems like he's progressing. At least they're projecting that. Again, Kamal Hadden, I thought he played good. He didn't do anything spectacular out there, but he did exactly what he was asked to do. He held his own. So I'm not overly concerned if Key can't go. However, Keyshawn's very physical in the run game. Probably how he hurt his neck in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So I think that could come in handy off the edge there. He's going to play a little more aggressive, I imagine, than maybe Kamal Hadden would. Although Kamal Hadden flashed on the tape in that regard there in the run fit a couple of times, just throwing his body into the pile and being willing to sacrifice himself to make a tackle. So Keyshawn Nixon sounds like a game time decision here as well. And then
I think you're absolutely right about that, right? What more could you want for a guy coming in a supporting role than to just not be a liability out there? We don't miss a beat. The fact that we didn't see his number called a lot is a good sign, and you can build on that going forward. So if K9 needs another week, give him another week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Lynn says, any word on Hobbs? I haven't heard anything. We'll look at the injury report here in just a second. But to the best of my knowledge, Coach, I wouldn't expect Hobbs back this week, obviously, and it's probably going to be another week or two, I would imagine. He went on to say, Rob did, when asked whether Jaden Reed could play Thursday given the lack of practice time since his window opened last Friday, LaFleur said, quote, "You never know, Rob. You'll find out Thursday." So
I'm not going to lie. I was faded. I ain't going to lie. I was faded.
So they're keeping that one close to the vest, and rightfully so. I think there's a really good chance, based off of LaFleur's comment there, that we're going to see Jaden Reed. But the thing that really sticks out to me these last 2 weeks, Matt LaFleur was catching fire for his job security, right? Which you guys know how we feel about it. I'm tired of arguing about it, to be honest with you. But he was catching all that heat, and even in the middle of all that, I felt like he was cool as a cucumber. And then this week coming up, all these injuries, he was grinning, he was smiling, cracking jokes, good to go. Go out there. What do? You hang 23 on the Vikings defense, a borderline top 15, top 10-ish top defense, and your defense holds them to 6 points. So I really like the persona, the aura, I guess you could say, the aura that Matt LaFleur is putting off right now, Tim. I
love it.
This is as calm as I've ever seen him, but also fired up. When if you guys watch that mocked up video of him on the sideline with Emmanuel Wilson, he was so excited for Emmanuel Wilson having that game, man.
Dude, I love the fire. I love it. Tupac LaFleur, but cooler than a polar bear's toenails when he needs to be, right? Don't worry about what I'm doing. Worried about why you're worried about what I'm doing. We'll keep winning ball games. You'll keep complaining about how we're winning ball games, right? I mean, that's a head coach's job, right? Get the dub.
Definitely. All right, let's dive into the injury report real quick. Just make a quick pass through. The only thing that changed from yesterday's projection to today's quote-unquote walkthrough was Keyshawn Nixon went from did not participate to limited. Everything else kind of stayed the same. However, I know Coach was asking about Nate Hobbs. He was listed as limited these last 2 days, yesterday and today. So that's interesting there. Maybe he's working back for next week. Maybe he'll go this week. I don't think he will, but we'll see. So just going down the list here, Carl Brooks did not participate. Another DNP was Lucas Van Ness with the foot injury, right? Did not participate. And Savion Williams with the foot injury did not participate. Now, keep in mind, Savion has kind of been like that the last few weeks, right? They want to just kind of keep him off of that foot as much as possible. In terms of limited fashion, Javon Bullard, Edgerrin Cooper, Matthew Golden, Nate Hobbs, Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed, Zach Tom. We've got Quay Walker, Dontavion Wicks all listed as limited. So with Quay, he's listed as limited both days. So I think there's a decent chance we end up seeing Quay this week, man, especially if Keyshawn goes, because it was the same. No two stingers are the same, obviously, right? But very, very similar injury. If Key tries to go this week, I can't imagine Quay is going to be denied. That's exciting to me, but also it's just so nice having that luxury of Isaiah McDuffie playing really good football right now, waiting in the wings if you need him.
I agree. I hope Quay's back. And, while you're talking about K9, I mean, look at Hobbs. Maybe Hobbs is active. That'd be nice for some depth. If we, if Keyshawn tries to go and he can't finish, you've got another guy that's working back, maybe not 100% himself, but all hands on deck in a divisional game on Turkey Day. I'm all for it. Quay, though, is the one I got my eye on. I'm hoping he goes this week because that just gives us more versatility and depth there in the middle. And, against this Detroit offense, we're going to need it. All hands on deck.
Yeah, definitely. Chase Green in the chat said no Kirby Joseph on Thursday means Scoot can beat them deep. As you guys, if you're not aware, basically Dan Campbell came out and said, obviously Kirby Joseph with the knee injury did not participate yesterday or today in the fake practices, if you will. But he did confirm Kirby Joseph will not play Sunday or Thursday. So we will not see Kirby Joseph. That's a huge blow for them. I'm trying to think, is Brian Branch back yet? It looks like he was full participation. So there's a good chance they will have him go. So the only thing that really changed here for their injury report, although they've got a long list like ours, Josh Paschal, edge defender, went from full participation with a back injury to did not participate today. And then you had Brian Branch go from limited yesterday to full participation today. In terms of did not participate, you've got Graham Glasgow, center, Kirby Joseph, safety, who is definitely out, Khalif Raymond, wide receiver with the ankle, and then you've got Brock Wright tied in with the neck injury. So they're obviously banged up. That doesn't include Sam Laporta, who's on IR, and some of the other injuries that they're dealing with. So it's going to be kind of a war attrition here, Tim. Yeah. These two teams are both banged up, and it's going to be who wants it more, both coming off a short week. I really like the fact that they didn't give either team the advantage by letting one play, a day earlier, a day later. Like, it would have really sucked if you'd have one of these teams play on Monday Night Football, then turn around 3 days and have to play, right?
Sure.
So I think this is it's going to be a good test to how healthy these teams are and how tough these teams are. Now, I always say, I think you're at a disadvantage having the youngest team in the league, right? Lacking that experience, and sometimes they can bite you in the ass with penalties and all that. However, having the youngest team in the league, Tim, kind of helps you right here, right? You get a bunch of old whippersnappers. They're a little more banged up, especially after going to overtime with the Giants.
Yeah, and when you're banged up and you're younger, that's one thing, right? It's another thing to be pushing dirty 30 plus and being banged up as well, right? Looking at Detroit's injury report, it's kind of interesting. Glasgow, I'm wondering when the last time he played. Was that? Did he play in the last game?
That's a good question.
I had to back because looking at Tate Ratledge, another guy we had on our draft board, I believe he was kind of like the emergency backup center kind of game plan as well. So if he's limited, Glasgow is a DNP. What does that mean for the middle of their offensive line?
Yeah, according to the snap count, now it's not showing me where he played in these games. It does have him listed as center, so I'm just assuming he played center. Okay. The last 3 weeks, he had over 50 snaps, 59 snaps, and then last week, 70 snaps. So
that's Glasgow or Ratledge?
Glasgow.
Okay.
69 reps. So he was the center. So if he misses this game, that's huge. It's absolutely huge because, like you said, you're going to your backup center, right? Your third string center. So,
yep,
huge.
And usually, if it's not non-football related rest kind of thing, you would see that indicated on the report. So the fact that he's a DNP Monday and Tuesday is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it really is. So there you go. There's the injury report for the Packers-Lions matchup on Thanksgiving Day. If you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments what you think about the injury report. How concerned are you? Is there a player that you feel like we need back more maybe than the others? How do you feel about the Lions, how banged up they are? And also let us know in the comments how you feel about this game. What do you think the score will be? What do you think the projection will be? And make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. If you're new here at PTA, we appreciate y'all. All right, Tim.